thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. It's great to finally meet you. Can you introduce yourself to the Informs membership?
Sure. My name is Kermit Threatte, and I am the Director of Operations Research for Shopify. I've been at Shopify for a year and a half, and before that, I pretty much had the same role at Wayfair.
Okay. I love Wayfair. Shop there all the time. How long have you been an Informs member?
5 years.
5 years? Okay. Tell us how you got started in OR, how you became the Director of Operations Research.
Yeah, it all goes back to I was 17, and I had just gotten into college, and my father and I were looking through the program, trying to figure out what I should do when I went to college. Yeah, the list of majors and that kind of thing. And actually, my undergraduate degree wasn't in OR, it was in systems engineering,
Okay.
which was basically OR math mixed in with some engineering design classes.
Okay.
So probably a little bit less heavy on the math than I probably should have been in undergrad, but we were just kind of going through the course design and all the different things that you learn, and my father was basically like, yeah, this sounds like something that would be useful. And I said, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So that kind of started the journey.
So, but did you know what it was prior to seeing those courses listed?
I had never heard of the field.
Yeah.
I just saw the courses and what they were targeting, and there was an optimization class, and there were some engineering design classes, and I just thought, wow, these things sound useful and practical.
Right. So can you explain a little bit about what the Director of Operations Research does at Shopify and how OR impacts retail in general? That's your experience.
Yeah, so I was brought on mainly because Shopify, which is actually the second largest e-commerce platform in North America, had always been serving what we call our customers or our merchants by making it easy for anybody to kind of just start their own business and create their own website and sell things online. Well, they decided to take that another step and actually provide fulfillment services to merchants as well. So whenever you start a supply chain, you need an OR team. So they reached out to me a little more than a year and a half ago and said, hey, we're going into fulfillment business, we need OR.
Yeah.
And it just sounded like such a great opportunity to start what could be one of the larger supply chains on the planet from scratch and to be there for it. So that's kind of what brought me to Shopify.
Cool.
Yeah, my job is to build the brain of the fulfillment network. That's what they call it at Shopify.
Okay.
And order routing, inventory management, transportation planning, supply chain planning, all those kind of automated algorithms fall under my sphere.
Okay, that's all in the brain.
Yeah, that's supposedly all in the brain.
Got it. So how long would something like that take, like to actually get your brain working?
A while. So I think, especially when you think of the evolution of a supply chain network, it's kind of this interesting dynamic where when you're starting from scratch, you know all the mistakes that you made before, or that other companies have made before, and you try to fix them all and like come up with this grand solution. Mm-hmm. But when you're kind of starting out or in the early stages of something, you kind of just need to get stuff done. So it's this interesting dynamic of how complicated do we want a solution, or do we just want a solution?
Right.
So we're always navigating that.
Yeah, is there a lot of trial and error happening?
Yeah, and it's also just an evolution. Like we might decide to do something simpler in the beginning and just get it out there.
Yeah.
So all these brain elements exist. It's just a question of how good they are. Get it out there, and then once we reach a certain level or stage of growth or something, then we kind of go into something more sophisticated.
Go back and improve.
So one of my big jobs is just trying to make the decision on how fancy do we get or how unfancy do we get to get something done.
Okay. Well, I probably know the answer to this, but I'm sure you've heard this tagline at Informs before, but would you say that the work you do saves lives, saves money, or solves problems?
I would say the last two. I don't think we're really, maybe there's some magical confluence
Right,
of circumstances.
Right. Well, someone's trying to start their own business, you know, that if
Yeah,
and you're helping them do that somehow, that's, you're saving their life in a way.
yeah. I mean, it's not. It doesn't have a medical context or something
Right,
like that.
no.
But I would just say it really does make me feel good to work for the company I do, because the whole mission is just to make it so that people can become self-sufficient
Yeah.
and start their own businesses easily.
Yeah.
So contributing to that, you know,
Right.
it makes you feel good when you wake up in the
Yeah,
morning.
that's great. And then you'll get to actually see your work, you know, in action eventually. Is there anything about your career that might surprise someone, or your career path?
Yeah, because even when I look back, I'm surprised that I didn't plan anything.
Right.
You know, besides my father and I looking at that
Yeah,
course.
that was your one. That was the one thing you
Yeah,
decided.
everything else was just circumstances or little coincidences that came up.
Yeah.
I don't even think, I have never actually gotten a job that I applied for. It just all came through.
Don't tell your future employers.
I mean, people reached out to me, but it was always like some weird circumstance, and I
Yeah.
just saw the opportunity and
Tends
kind
to
of jumped
happen
at it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So you've only been a member for 5 years, you said. What's your favorite Informs experience so far? I know most of that time has been a pandemic, but have you?
Yeah. The Edelman Awards are always my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know that the conference in the fall is a bigger conference,
Right.
and there are more people, and I get to meet more friends and that sort of thing. But I really, really love the Edelman competition. It's every year that I've come here for the Business Analytics Conference, that's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. And my first OR, like pure OR job, I had heard because the founder of my company had actually participated in the awards, and I heard all about it and never
Yeah.
really been involved.
Yeah.
So the first time when I joined Informs, that's what I wanted to be a part of.
Cool. So do you go see all the like finalist presentations every time you come to NLS?
Yeah, I try to go to every single
Yeah, I'm
one.
so excited about it. And of course the gala, right? The fun event Monday evenings. Let's see. You're also involved in the Informs Roundtable. So you're the VP of Meetings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were positions in the roundtable other than the companies, you know, that were part of the roundtable. So can you first describe the roundtable to someone who might not know what it is, and then what your role as an officer is as the VP of Meetings? What do you
Yeah, the roundtable is, it's pretty, I think of it, might be thinking of it in too broad terms or highfalutin terms, as a kind of a central feature of the practice area of Informs. So we have a whole bunch of representatives from all sorts of industries and companies that get together and basically talk shop, figure out strategies to, you know, deal with current problems in the analytics space. And it's just a good way to network and figure out what your peers are doing in other companies as well.
share trade secrets?
And we try to be kind of an organization that brings forth some of this point of view to Informs, because all in all, the Informs, in my mind, is kind of weighs more heavily on the academic side. So it's our way of kind of bringing the practice element to it. And as an officer, so we do have a board, and just like a lot of significant duties in Informs, it's all kind of volunteer. And we have 3 meetings every year, and it's my job to organize them, make sure we have topic speakers, other people to volunteer. And
And you sponsor some of the keynotes and plenaries at the meetings as well, right? The roundtable.
We do, and Talitha Williams, who's giving the keynote tomorrow morning, she's going to be, she's a roundtable sponsor speaker as well.
So that means you guys found her, and
we did.
That works.
Well, in that case, we definitely sponsor it, and it comes out of, you know, we sponsor it and everything. We do get help from Informs in finding speakers.
Got it.
Though the choices are influenced by us.
Got it. Cool. So as a semi-new member, what do you think is the best way for new Informs members to get involved in the community, the Informs community?
I look at my short journey so far. And you know, it's tough. Like, I find it's tough to network when you're just starting with something, and I think Informs makes it a lot easier. And one thing to embrace is the fact that a lot of important positions and committees with Informs are volunteer.
Right.
And folks are always looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
So I think one way to do it is to find a committee position or find a place where you can be with a group on a particular issue, and then learn and network amongst that group, and then that kind of widens and spreads out.
Yeah.
At least that's kind of been my path.
Yeah, it makes
I've
sense.
enjoyed it so far.
It is hard to network, especially at these meetings that are so huge. Well, the analytics versus annual, but still a lot of people, a lot of networking, a lot of introverts who don't want to network.
And the funny thing is, you know, probably in the OR world, I'm more on the extroverted side of the spectrum than average, though that probably puts me in the middle of the regular world. But I still find it hard just to go up to people I don't know and have those conversations.
That's natural. I feel the same way. You are a judge for the Edelman competition this year, correct?
Yes.
So tell us about that and what you look for in a winning presentation.
Yeah, so I'm relatively new to judging, but I'm really, like, given the fact that Edelman's like my favorite thing, I was really glad. Last year was my first time as a judge, and I'm kind of reprising the role this year.
Yeah.
And there's some basic criteria that we all look at when evaluating the contestants. I wouldn't say they're all equal, but I think they're all important.
Yeah.
There's the overall impact of the project. How transferable is it? Can it be done again, or can it be used by others or in a wider sphere in the industry and that sort of thing? The novel uniqueness of the solution kind of plays in, but a little bit less so than I think the first two. And then one of the most important criteria is, has it actually been implemented? Did people actually do the thing? Not that it was an experiment. Has it kind of gone through cycles, and has the world, the company, the universe, or whatever kind of felt the benefit of what the work impact was?
Cool. If we were sitting here a year from now celebrating what a great year you just had, what would we be celebrating?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be a normal person here and just say I would like to have us live our lives a little bit more normally this past year. I've been stuck in my house all the time for the past 2 years. I have probably half a dozen trips lined up that I want to see friends or the family and that sort of thing. So I'd be really happy if all of us can just have a good normal year. From a career perspective, just helping more merchants on the Shopify platform, growing our supply chain, building more smart elements of that brain that we were talking about. Those are all things, neat things that we can.
How about the most interesting book you've read recently? Have you had time to read recently?
I do. I happen to be kind of nerdy and read a lot of like science fiction, fantasy kind of stuff. But the book that I was given by my mom is a birthday present recently is really interesting, and it doesn't have wizards or robots. The 1619 project, it kind of outlines the history of and the impacts of slavery on American culture and on African Americans. So I'm about halfway through the book, and it's really interesting.
Interesting. You mentioned your birthday. Was it recent?
Late January.
Late January. Happy belated. What's your ideal birthday celebration?
Just forgetting that I had a birthday in the first place.
You're not a big birthday celebrator?
Not really, and it just makes me remember the fact that I'm getting old. So
you gotta take like a birthday weekend, a birthday week celebrate day for 7 days. That's what I like to do. Well, if you could have dinner with one famous person, who would it be? Anyone? Doesn't have to be a historical figure. Any person, any famous person.
I mean,
the
historical figure probably is easier just because I got a lot more years of people to select from. I don't know. You know, part of it is every time you learn more about somebody that maybe you admire, you stop admiring as much. Yeah, like you find out more that makes you, but I would say Barack Obama would probably be an interesting person to have dinner with.
That'd be a nice dinner, yeah. Okay. How about a typical weekend? What do you like to do for fun, besides forgetting your birthday?
I'm pretty boring, so maybe I'll say pre-COVID.
Okay, sure, yeah, let's do that. A typical pre-2020 weekend.
I like watching movies. I like relaxing, reading about those robots and wizards and those kind of things. But I do like to get out and exercise, so a great weekend would be nice weather, going for a hike. I live in Boston, so a lot of times when my wife and I will drive up to New Hampshire and hike some of the taller mountains there. Or
do you ski or snowboard?
I do. I do. So that during the winter time, and cycling as well. Like my main form of exercise is road cycling. So even a nice day, getting 4 or 5 hours out on a long bike ride is
a long bike ride. Well, great. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.